Hello everybody, this is Trina. Thank you for stopping by and watching my creative process here. I totally recorded this and I planned on doing it in like real time. However, it turned out to be over an hour long. So I decided I would just fast forward it, and I might as well just let you guys know what I'm doing as I go. So let's get into it. So I've kind of put together a little kit of ideas, things that I kind of wanted to use for my November planner insert. I'm using a whole bunch of things that I've already used and some new things like these dies here from Close to My Heart. I was so excited to finally get those in the sequins, and I kind of have a little bit of an idea as to how I want to do this. I want to use the mixed media from Close to My Heart, and so I'm pulling out some of my stencils that I've made on my Cameo, and those are just page dividers, and so I decided to give those a shot. I haven't done that before, so this will be kind of exciting. I'm showing you here that I have, like, the leaves that I'm using are Tim Holtz from Garden Greens from Tim Holtz, and I wanted to do them in silver, but you could totally do them in any of the other colors that you wanted to use. I thought silver would be kind of a nice contrast. Not really contrasty, but I don't know, give it a little bit of oomph and sparkle. So I'm also using the Sugar Plum collection, products from Close to My Heart, which is the color of the year, and they have ink, and they have like ink pads, they have ink refills, which you can use for mixed media or you can use for refilling. They also have glitter paper, and they have cardstock. So I am very excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the mixed media portion. There's a couple of ways you can add the color. You can do just the ink pad if you have just the ink pad and just smush it onto your acrylic or whatever you put it on, your pad there, and then smush it together, or you can use the re-inker, which is what I'm going to do. But then I realized I need to stamp. I have these other stamps on the rest of my inserts, which I will probably have to show you guys in another video. I don't know, I might be able to tack it onto the end of these if I can speed it up. So we'll see, but you'll understand what I mean when, you know, once you see that, why I stopped and added these in here. It just adds, I mean, I'm using the same colors, and because I kind of want it all monochromatic minus the silver leaves. So that's kind of where I'm going. This is the texture paste from Close to My Heart. I don't know where it went. It is from Ranger, I believe. Yes, it is Opaque Matte from Ranger. It's texture paste. And so it came out really thick, and so I decided to add water and some color, and I wasn't sure how much color because I'd never done this before, and so it was kind of all a trial, which is kind of, you know, that's one of the things that I like about crafting. I mean, I don't get to do it very often, but I like trying new things and mixing and matching all different types of things, and just seeing the finished product or project when you're done with all of the things. So once you put them all together, it's just kind of amazing how it all comes together and turns out the way that it is. Now, I've never done this before, so I was very, very nervous, I guess the word for this. I kind of knew that I wanted it like, you know, like a single line and down the center, and then kind of a wider area, like 2/3 up the page. So that's kind of what I'm going for. And this, yeah, it kind of works out that way. And one of the things that I remember talking about, which I did a lot of talking when this is regular speed, was that when you do your own stencils, you can make sure that they're repeating patterns. And so that's one of the things I loved about that, was that it was a repeating pattern. So I could just scoot it down and just continue the pattern, and you don't even notice. So that was one thing that I enjoyed. I kind of went off a little bit in different areas, a little wider than I wanted to, but it's okay. And one of the things I'm showing you as I go is that it, as the ink started to dry, it did turn like I don't know if it was like the pieces of the ink, like the actual ink, like, I don't know, ink pigment, I guess. It's not really pigment, but color started to come out, and because of the water and the moisture, it brought out the greens that are in the sugar plum. And when you stamp it, it doesn't do that. So I'm assuming it's just because I added moisture, water, or whatever, but it started to have some green tones, and along with the sugar plum color. And at first I was just like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's so not what I wanted. And then I was like, you know what? Flowers come with green. Like, sugar plum reminds me of a flower, right? And when a flower is blooming, it has green. It always has green with it, like 99% of the time. Okay, maybe 98. You know what I mean. Anyway, so I was just like, that kind of made it okay because, or for me, it made it okay because I knew that the green wasn't an ugly green. It was kind of like when you mix the two, when you put the two together, not only does it remind me of a flower, but it reminds me of like a vintage era. And so I was like, okay, I love vintage, and I love flowers, and I love nature, and I love the greens and the pinks together, so you know what? I'm just going to make it okay. So I did, which is great because, you know, you can't always do that. Sometimes they just don't work, but this time I somehow twisted it around and made it made sense, and actually I still like how it turns out. So I got these new fancy tags from Close to My Heart, and I am very excited about those. I have a few projects that I am working on with those. This one is my first one, so I knew that when I did this, it was like middle of November, like second week of November, and November was, you know, gonna go by really fast, but I want to do this with a Halloween photo that I have of my daughter. She decided to be a elf princess, and I think this layout is a great idea for her pictures. So I don't know exactly how I'll get multiple pictures. I don't know if I'll want to use multiple pictures. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do that, but I wanted to try this particular layout along with the mixed media before I did it on her layout, because I don't want to use up all my paper and then end up hating it. So I wanted to test it out and see if I liked how it turned out, and so that will be a project that will be coming up. And so I'm just letting the texture paste dry, and working on the leaves, and the leaves are something else. So this is DCWV glitter paper. When you do these, make sure you run, like the dyes, make sure you run it through twice to get a good clean cut, because I just ran them through once and I didn't even realize that it was going to take me so long, because it's got like a plastic coating underneath of I think it's just the glue, underneath of the glitter, and it really likes to stay together. So it took me a little bit longer. I went through these, and I actually ended up fast forwarding through a lot of it, or I thought I did. And then I go ahead and cut or try to pop them all out. And it literally took me about a half hour to get all of these out. And some of them broke, and were damaged, but I was able to use those as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if I fast forward through this. Yes. Okay, so I got them all out. There you go. Don't have to wait for all that. So I'm going to trim a couple of these up, and then I'm just going to, I got the idea of taking my tag and just, see how the variation there in color? I definitely was not expecting that, but this is where I'm kind of debating, like, I'm not sure what I want to do with it now that it's coming through, but I talked myself down. So I ended up liking it. So I'm going to just add adhesive onto the back of this tag, and it makes adding these leaves so much easier because I can put them around the tag and not, then I have to pull them all back up, and I do end up pulling them all back up, and it does not turn out exactly how I had expected it to, but when you add the adhesive to the back of the tag and you still want to put something around it, you can just tuck them right in there and they stay where you want them to be, which is awesome. And I'll kind of show that to you here in a moment. Oh, yes. I am doing the smooshing technique. I have not done a whole lot of the smooshing technique, especially with reinkers. So this one is in plastic. So this kind of ended up a hot mess, but again, I still like it how it turned out. But that is one thing about ink smooshing. You cannot guarantee that it's not going to turn out a hot mess. But if you just work through it, it usually turns out pretty well. Sometimes if you just leave it be and then come back to it, it turns out even better. So yeah, that just looks like a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and dry that. It lightened up just a tiny bit, not quite as much as I had thought, but a lot of that's going to be covered up. So it'll just give a hint of color in places. And this is kind of where I figure, you know what, I don't really want to relay all of this out. So just add some adhesive on the back. See that? Look at that. You just add things as you go. The adhesive's already on there. You don't have to worry about sticking it down where you don't want it. It's kind of awesome. So I'm just going to add these on there, and no, they were not in the same places, but it works out pretty good. Get some foam tape, and that's 3M foam tape. I got it from Amazon. It's a huge roll, and I love that. I have had it for so long, and it's always been there every time I've needed it, so it's kind of awesome. And then I'm just going to adjust that, and look at that. So now I'm just going to work on this lower part because I do want the silver to kind of bring it down. And I noticed now that I'm kind of working backwards. I put the first one down low so that I knew that's as far as I wanted to go, and the end of the sprig was intact. So I was able to just add it in there without having to worry about any broken ends or anything like that. So, and now I'm just going to go through and kind of add pieces in to missing places, and I don't remember exactly how many. I think I use all of them. And I will glue those down too. I just haven't gotten there yet. Now the glue I'm using is a two-way glue pen, so you can use it as a wet glue, or you can let it dry and it gets tacky, so that's something to consider. You know, I haven't tried writing like a word. Well, my handwriting is terrible, but I haven't tried that yet, like making it tacky and then putting glitter on there. I wonder if the glitter stays. I might have to try that on something. And I'm just going to add glue on here and glue it back together. Like I said, some of them, the pieces were a little bit damaged from trying to pull them out. And then I was thinking about using these. These are the silver sequin pack. There's a lot of sequins in there. And there's a lot of different sequins in there, not just the same sequins. So I don't know if you can see that, but there are like clear, not like iridescent clear, but clear sequins in there in different sizes. There's iridescent clear sequins in there in different sizes. There's iridescent stars in there in different sizes. There's white, there's silver, and there's chrome silver. So like there's a lot of different options in that one, and they get down to the smallest little sized sequins. So I'm showing. So I'm just going to add these liquid glass adhesive as a like Nouveau drops or crystal drops or whatever they are called, stickles even, I guess you could, but they're just going to be clear and they're going to kind of look like dewdrops or raindrops, and I thought those would be adorable. I've never tried them before. I've definitely put a lot of liquid glass on a lot of things, but I haven't done it this way. But so that's kind of exciting. So this is going to be my cover, and it's, well, not really my cover, I guess my cover page for November. And as you can see, the green and whatnot, but it's not like a serious green. So I really like how it turned out. I still like how it turned out even a couple weeks later. So I'm going to go ahead and start on a base piece, and this is the back side because I'm going to stamp on it and make a master list. So I'm using the same stamp that I used on the front so that it carries over. Now my next video will be how I went about doing my inserts for the month of November. They're a little bit different than the ones I've done before. They're kind of more of a tracker style, but we'll see how that goes. So this is my master list. It's mostly for just keeping track of the different kind of home projects and work projects that I do or that I want to do. If I decide I can't complete one of those and I want to, I can move it over to the next month. Or I can just, scratch it off the list if it's something that I don't want to do, or I've changed my mind on, or lost interest in, or whatever the case may be. So this is just kind of gonna keep my ideas. It's kind of like an idea dump page as far as projects go. So it's pretty simple page, but it will help kind of keep me energized towards creating, because these are ideas that I've came up with that I would like to try. Most of the time my ideas are either big projects or simple projects that I tend to make big projects. So I'm hoping this will work pretty decently so I can figure out what I want to keep my eye on, so I went ahead and let the November cover page dry all the way, and then I am going to go ahead and adhere this to the back side of it. So this is pretty much it for the cover page. I wanted to kind of keep it, well, interesting with the mixed media because I haven't tried any of those things yet, so it was definitely interesting, but I also wanted it to be a fairly simple video. So this is it. I hope you stay tuned for my next video, and I cannot wait to get creating again. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.